So since we're all waiting for the final part of Attack on Titan to be animated, I started watching different Attack on Titan analysis, just reminiscing and whatnot. But one of them, he was telling us to rewatch the whole series as a whole because it gives you a better grasp of what's going on. And I was like, what do you mean? I know what's going on. But turns out he was on to something. So I rewatched and I could confidently say now that it definitely brings a new light to it. And it's crazy someone had to tell me to do that because I'm a binge type of watcher anyways, so I don't know why I never went back and rewatched myself. But yeah, in this video, I'm gonna just give you guys my overall thoughts and opinions and possibly even some stuff you missed. With that said, let's get into it. So for starters, we need to talk about Eren, of course. And I'm gonna say, like seasons 1 to 3, yes, he was your typical shonen pro tag, but he also kind of wasn't because if you guys remember, he was getting like kidnapped a lot and he wasn't really winning fights. So I don't know, he was more of a liability than the average shonen pro tag. Like, sure, I get it. He's supposed to be the hope for humanity, but we have to go through a lot of soldiers and a lot just to like keep him safe. But at the same time, he was still like headstrong. He had a lot of the pro tag type of features. Now, come season 4, we get and at first, when I originally watched, I just assumed he switched up. Like, this is a whole new guy. But I no longer think that's the case. I really believe he's just showing a side we don't really see as much. Like, I feel like we need to keep in mind that he starts the series off killing 2 grown men. Like, literally screaming at them, this is what they deserve. They did, but that's not the point. He's 9 years old. This is not normal for a kid to just do. Well, really, anyone to just do. Even Mikasa, even though her Ackerman powers weren't activated yet, she needed some encouragement and there was hesitation on killing the guys. And they're the ones who harmed her. I also think that moment from season 1 parallels with that moment in season 4 where Mikasa's telling Eren after they invaded Marley that he can't take back what he's done now because he's killed so many people and it's all on their hands. And what does he do? Just stare. Because just like he said back then to his dad, this just had to be done. Some other times I feel like we start seeing this other side of his character is each time he declares he's about to kill all the Titans. At first I thought he was, being a protag and declaring his goals. But upon my rewatch, that first time he declared it, I'm not saying he shouldn't react with anger, but even Armin and Mikasa are a little shocked to hear him instantly talk about retaliation. But I digress. Now, end of season 3, we're definitely seeing those signs of where this is going now. We get to the sea that they've been talking about this whole damn show, and he's just sitting there unimpressed by it. And he was fake getting me tight because what the fuck? You're killing the vibe everywhere we go. Even in the beginning of season 4, where they show how when they went to Marley, how everyone was excited and whatnot. This guy, he was just the whole time, but I get it. He knows what's gonna happen in the future, so no use pretending to be happy and shit, but damn. And from there on out, we got seasons 4 Eren that's become so popular. And you know what's kind of crazy? Rewatching, I've noticed he was actively going into depression, and everyone around him kind of like pushed it to a side and said he was going through a phase at one point, and then I don't know, they just didn't really pay mind to it. In my opinion, the signs, they were there, they were just ignored. So when I first watched Attack on Titan, I was fully on Paradis' side, like 100%. But now rewatching it, it's clear it's just two sides of a war that we're watching. We just happen to have more insight on Paradis' side. Season 4 is when we get a real good feel of what life is like over in Marley, especially for the Eldians. Well, we actually did get a preview to that in season 3 when we were going through Grisha's memories, like back when he was living in Marley. So from there, we already knew they do not fuck with Eldians. Like, but yeah, season 4 started off with a cast we had no clue about besides Reiner. And then that's when we started getting more insight on how life is over there for them. But let me just say, I completely could not stand Gabi at one point. Annie was fine, but also I didn't really care for Reiner or Baritol either. But they didn't annoy me the way Gabi did. But I will say, whether we like them or not, they're all great and relatable characters and definitely necessary for the story. But with that being said, I gotta say, I still don't really like Gabi. And not just because of the Sasha thing. She really just comes off as annoying before Sasha, after Sasha, but also she was just taking too long to grasp the situation and understand what the fuck is going on. I get she's brainwashed or whatever, but I don't know, maybe I'm not as patient as everyone else. And before y'all say, oh, she's just a kid, these things take time. No, I don't know, because Falco is right there and he's way more mature than her. Like, bitch, you're feeding to be a war tool so bad. Like, I don't know how many people gotta keep telling her this shit. But she does get better, like, midway through the season, I believe. Besides all that, though, she's low-key a goat for Marley. Like, she has a one-shot kill. She does not miss. So there's always that. But yeah, back to my original point. All the Marley soldiers and the war candidates that are shown are pretty solid, good characters. But Reiner and Gabi in particular, I think they directly parallel Eren. And I think Isayama goes out his way to make that clear time and time again with the both of them. Now, we need to speak about their upbringing over there in Marley because it's really shitty. So, this is how it goes. If you're an Eldian in Marley, you automatically live in the hood. So, say now you want to get out the hood, getting it out the mud type shit. You train hard, and hopefully, you're good enough to become a warrior candidate. So, if you get picked to inherit one of the titans, now you and your family, you could live in the better part of Marley now, along with the rest of the population. But now you gotta fight in the wars they be having. And these wars are getting more and more dangerous with time because these nations are developing technology and machinery that could actually hurt titans. So now you could get seriously hurt or even killed. And sometimes not even just wars, you might have to go on missions like what Reiner's group had to do. But say you do get past all that and you make it out all these missions alive, you can't get past the fact that with whatever titan you inherited, you only have 13 more years to live. And during that 13 years, this is the cycle you're living through. And prime example of this is Reiner. He outlived all his friends. And now look at him, still living through trauma, guilt, and just losing his mind, really, just ready for his term to be done. So yeah, the Marley Eldians, even though they're not being attacked by titans and they're not back like 100 years in technology, it's still not peaches and cream over there. Like, that shit's kind of sad. Not even kind of, that shit is sad. And I remember when they showed Reiner's backstory, how him and his friends, they were all pretty excited to compete and try to become warrior candidates. That just shows you how brainwashed the kids over there are. So it does actually kind of explain why Gabi is the way she is. And part of the reason why I like Falco is just he's so self-aware. He even goes to Reiner and says he doesn't want Gabi to inherit the Titan from him. And even though Reiner was trying to act fake mad at him for saying it like it wasn't a quote unquote honor, he knows in his mind that's bullshit. So he told Falco to basically train and get better than Gabi so she couldn't inherit the Titan. And look, that's coming from someone who used to be so excited to try and inherit one of the Titans. I mean, he also could just be trying to protect his cousin. And that's another thing. I did not know they were cousins until this rewatch. I don't know how I missed that. So somewhere down the line, I plan on making an anime hot takes type of series, and this is definitely a question I wanted on that. But this being the Attack on Titan analysis, we got to talk about it. Was Eren right? Before I get into it, I just want to let you guys know this is strictly my opinion, but this is based on the facts, so take it how you take it. Also, if you haven't finished the manga yet, I suggest leaving now. So to answer the question, was Eren right? In retrospect, yes, but also no, and not because the Rumble is committing genocide. That's the part people usually bring up when discussing why they disagree with him. But I'm disagreeing because that wasn't even his real plan. He revealed his actual plan was for him to go out as the villain and have all his friends be the heroes that stop him. And then hopefully the people of the world would leave Paradise alone. And also wiping out 80% of the outside. To me, that's an L plan. And the reason I say this is because what makes you so confident, even though your friends saved the day, that no one's gonna want to retaliate for the rumbling? It still came from Paradis. but we'll get to that. I personally think he should have stuck with the plan he kept talking about throughout the season and not this secret bullshit one he had conducted. Now, I'm not saying start the rumbling and wipe out everything outside the walls and be done with it. What I think he could have done is, yes, the rumbling's still gonna have to happen, but afterwards, take away the Titan powers, and then they would have to progress from there. And yes, with humanity always comes strife, but I feel like it would have been 10 times better than what they currently had going on. But even without doing what I just said, Eren's original plan that he kept stating is still better than any other plan they had. Even Hanj said that she failed to show Eren a peaceful solution to the problem, because when they try to be peaceful, the outside world just kept showing them they don't fuck with them. And then Zeke's plan, that's really some coon shit. If you know, you know. But yeah, we're not doing that either. So we gotta kill ourselves off. I can't have kids all because of something my ancestors did years ago, and I have to suffer now because of it, because the world doesn't want to just let go of the past even when we're trying to be peaceful. Yeah, it's giving self-hate. So yeah, like I said, all the other plans are ass. But yeah, y'all, whether he went with the original plan or the secret plan, Eren is still in the right to me. Right in the beginning of season 4, like before the invasion, we already see on Marley's side they're conducting another plan to, I forgot if it was to attack or just infiltrate, but either way they were talking about trying to bring the power of the founder back to Marley since they failed last time with Reiner's group. And look, they just don't learn. So when Paradis invaded first a few episodes later, you know I didn't feel bad. And even though they were expecting something to happen during Willie's play and he was more like a sacrifice, I can't take away from his speech. That's how they really feel about the Eldians. And that goes double for the quote-unquote Island Devils. During Willie's speech, they declare war first of all, and then they name Eren by name as their enemy. If that doesn't give Eren and Paradis enough reason to kick off the war, then I don't know what does. I don't know. I say attack before they attack you, but that's just me. But yeah, I say all that to say I don't think there is any way to avoid any more conflict with Marley unless Marley wanted to stop having conflict with Paradis. And honestly, not even just Marley. The whole world, they don't really like Eldians, so they have very few allies outside the walls. But yeah, the best solution ever would be to just let go of the past and everyone move on in the world, but obviously they're not. So next up would be Eren's plan. Well, one of them. Anything besides Zeke's. And before y'all think I'm just a heartless bitch, I'm not. Logically, that's just the best plan. I will say, when I first read about the rumbling, I was pretty emotionless when, thinking about it and reading. But seeing it animated earlier this year really put it into perspective. Like, that shit was pretty sad. And it was really disturbing. I don't know what I expected, but not that. It's also sad because not everyone outside the walls is against the Eldians, but it's not realistic to pick and choose who is and who's not on the outside. But y'all know how I don't agree with Eren's plan to make his friends look like heroes, and how I was saying that could all just backfire. Imagine my face when I read years later Paradis got destroyed anyways. I remember there was a part where all his friends were trying to get him to stop the rumbling and saying how the world knows not to mess with them now and they'll have a few years of peace at least. And I always was like, okay, and what happens after the few years? They're gonna start back up. So at that time when Eren said he's still doing his original plan of wiping everything out and starting new, I was completely on board with it. But then he went and did what they were actually telling him to do, like literally just to a larger degree. He took it upon himself to destroy 80% of the world. But either way, in those people who survived, I can't even be mad at them for retaliating years later. And that's why we should have went with plan number 1. Nah, y'all really got me sounding like a villain. But it's true, like, oh my god. For a lighter subject, these are just a few things I gotta get off my chest. First off, Hannes. He was a cool dude. And yes, his death was sad. But damn, after all this time, you would think he would be able to kill a Titan. Like, what the fuck? We never seen him in action doing shit besides drinking. But you would think after he couldn't kill Dina back then when Eren's mom died, and how he regrets that, he says that to Mikasa and Eren, you would think he would be able to do some shit against this Titan now, right? And he goes in making us think that, only to get killed killed by the same Titan. What was he doing all these years? Did he just go back to drinking and not training after the attack on Shiganshina? I don't know if they just needed a sad moment before Eren showed his founder Titan abilities, but I was really disappointed because what the fuck. But maybe I'm missing something. I know Dina has royal blood, but is she not at that state just a normal Titan? So what was so hard? He cut her ankle and then he looked at the kids only to get picked up by Dina. I'm not saying he has to be like Mikasa or Levi, cutting down like 10 at a time, but that one, like, this is for revenge. Was Eren's mom not your friend? Like, I digress. So next we gotta bring up Levi. Such a goat. But we gotta talk about how tragic his life is. He loses people close to him constantly, and he seems a little desensitized by it at a certain point. But if I was in the Attack on Titan universe, I'd probably stay clear of him. Literally everyone dies as soon as they have a bond with him or anyone close to him. I don't know. I gotta stay clear of that. And since we're on the topic of Levi, I found it funny when they were invading Marley and everyone knew about the 2 Ackermans to look out for. I'm assuming that came from Reiner since he was the first one to tell Zeke about Levi. And I see why. Every time Reiner was up to something, he immediately got stabbed by an Ackerman. Both Mikasa and Levi waste no time with this man. So yeah, when I go back and tell my war stories, I would mention them too. Oh, and speaking of Zeke, when he first came in like season 2 or 3 as the Beast Titan and he spoke, I was shook as much as Mike. And this is when Wit was still animating Attack on Titan. So their depiction of the Beast Titan, I don't know why it was so unsettling to me. So something small I noticed when rewatching was in season 4, you know how Eren rises up above the building during the play and eats Willy? So that time Marley invaded Paradis back and Peak and Gabi lead Eren to top of a building. Porco comes up in the same fashion. I just thought that was a cool little repayment. If he actually ate him right there and got the founder, that would have been GG. My final thought that I feel like no one really talks about is the fact that people were really upset when Armin got chosen over Erwin when it first happened. They were saying it was a dumb decision and whatnot. But honestly, upon rewatching, yes, Erwin is a great captain. But guys, he is selfish. He even comes right out and says it. He really just wanted to get to that basement. I just think it's funny to think about now. Like, wow.
I agree with you. A wounded soldier should stay off the battlefield. However, the day we learn the truth about our world, and I'll be damned if I'm going to miss it.
Being there, is that important? More than your legs?
Yes.
Yeah. More than humanity's victory?
Yes.
Even though I love Attack on Titan, I do still have my dislikes. It's only 2. But these are the 2 I can think off the top of my head right now. So the first one has to do with how Mikasa is just overly obsessed with Eren in the anime. Because apparently in the manga, she's way more grounded. And I feel like they should have kept that in the anime because it becomes overbearing sometimes. And I'm just like, girl, relax. He's not going nowhere. Well, he is, but she should still calm down a bit. And don't get me wrong, he obviously loves her too, but hers is just a little bit much. I don't know. I need me a man that loves me like how Mikasa loves Eren. And my second dislike has to do with the whole time loop situation. It took me a little while to understand what the fuck was going on, and that was after a lot of explanation videos. Now, I could just be slow, but that's besides the point. It shouldn't be that hard. I guess that's not really a dislike. I'm just salty. No, because it really took me a minute to understand what was going on. But yeah, this is not a full-on, thorough analysis. It's really just a video to get my thoughts and opinions out there. But yeah, Isayama, he was in his bag writing this. There's so many plot points that connect to shit in the beginning. It just all comes together so nicely. I feel like making a video on just everything we missed. I just don't want this video to be too long. But yeah, guys, that's the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.